is Lisa Bain. Welcome to Treasure Talks. I would love for you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit the doorbell so you get notifications about our new videos and content. It has been a joy to meet some incredible heroes over the years through my nonprofit work. Our community is filled with heroes who have such incredible and miraculous stories. These stories need to be heard. These heroes have found treasure in the darkest days of their lives, and they are using it to help others and bring hope to those in our community. Every month, we will spotlight a new story as you meet these community heroes and we chat one-on-one. So stay tuned and be ready to be encouraged and inspired by these community treasures. It's time for Treasure Talks. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Treasure Talks. I'm so incredibly excited about this Treasure Talks episode because I have one of my very dear friends, Pam Stukenborg. I love this woman, and to read her bio, it's like she's got a novel. There's so many things she does, but I'm going to touch on a few things. You are a popular headshot photographer. In fact, she did my headshots, and she makes headshot photography a blast. You are a brilliant speaker and the most fun MC anybody can have. If you need an MC, she's your gal. And you also are active in the community as the Women's Program Volunteer for John 3:16. You've done that for 17 years. 17 years. Okay, photography. She's going to talk a little bit about being ADHD gifted, but she's worked with Bedford Camera, video ambassador and director for First Impressions for Bedford. And you've also been involved at the Photo Expo in Little Rock, PhotoCon, Oklahoma City, Bedford, Capture T-Town. And recently, we were just talking about this, you are a Fascinate certified advisor and the People's Champion. She did this test on me. It's really, really interesting.
The evolutionary here.
Right. It's so interesting and so right on. And then you're married to the amazing Bernie, who we adore, and you love cats. You and my son and daughter-in-law, a cat lover.
I love dogs too.
I know, she does. She's helped me photograph them. Pam is fun. That is her adjective. It's so funny, Pam, because Andy Little, a dear friend of mine in the fire department, said, we had a meeting, and he said, you have to meet Pam. You have to meet Pam. She's like, well, she's Pam. And you have to meet her because you're going to be like best friends. He was so right. And every time I see Andy, I'm like, you were right. She's like my dearest.
You were in a meeting with him and he stopped the meeting and called me and he's like, can you get down here right now? I was like, oh,
yes.
I couldn't at the time, but yeah, that was really fun.
And we ended up meeting and I mean, Pam
he was right.
He was, she's been such a support. But her photography is really such a ministry. And I wanted her to come on here. She's actually, when I have a prayer request or I have a need, she's on speed dial because she's the one that will really, really stop and pray. Her photography is such a ministry, but I really wanted you to share what got you into photography. And when I read it all began with a house fire, can you kind of take us back to that and tell us what led you here?
Sure, yes. Back in 1973, just March 7th, 51 years ago this year, we had a house fire, and that house fire took our home, everything in it. The front steps were the only things that were left, and also it took my brother Chris, he was just 14 months older than me. So I was 6, he was 7. I have 3 older siblings, or we have 3 older siblings also. So there were 5 of us, but after that night, there were only 4.
Wow. Wow.
And my parents right away started us on a path to recovery that very night. My mom had to go to the hospital. She went into shock. A neighbor of ours came down, took us kids to her home, and she had a room with 2 twin beds. And so my brothers were in one, my sister and I in the other, and my dad came to be with us children. And he still smelled like smoke from the fire. He dropped to his knees between the 2 twin beds and he said, children, he's like, your mother and I, we want you to know above all, we know Chris is with Jesus. And he's like, but we want you to know we are so thankful we still have you 4 children. We could have lost you all.
Wow, Pam.
And so during that very first few hours, my father started with gratitude. My parents, my mom and dad, gratitude. What can we be thankful for? We had nothing.
Oh my goodness. You're going to make me cry at the very beginning. I did not know this.
Yeah, I guess it didn't come up.
Wow.
Yes. So from that point on, it was always like, we don't have any pictures. We lost everything. So all the pictures were gone. And whenever we go to a relative's house, it'd be like, they got any pictures? Any pictures of Chris? Any pictures of us, of our whole family intact, with all 7 of us together, always looking for pictures. So at a very tender age, I realized the importance of pictures. When you don't have them, you don't have them.
And that's kind of what sparked you into really wanting to be able to do it. Yeah. Okay, we talked about ADHD, and we both have it.
I know.
I mean, we're like in the sisterhood.
Stay tuned. The wheels could fly off the bus at any moment here with the 2 of us.
Well, there she goes.
That's right, but it's going to be fun. You're on for a fun ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Exactly.
Gosh. Tell me about how you realized this journey. In fact, when I read that you thought your name was Map for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Pam.
Yes.
How did you realize this, but incorporate it and become so amazingly, how did you incorporate it all?
All right, so I knew my name was Pam. I just was spelling it Map.
Okay.
That's all.
I gotcha.
Kindergarten, 1st grade.
Okay.
Spelling it in Map.
Okay.
My siblings teased me so hard about that, yeah. And I mean, back then, in the early 70s, you're, ADHD, dyslexia, any of that. It wasn't something that is as common as, I'm so thankful that people know more about learning styles nowadays and kids can really get help right off the get-go. But my folks didn't know,
Right.
We grew up in the country in New Hampshire, it's like, what's there? Anyway, so, how I found out I had ADHD was I was in my early 30s. I'd been seeing a therapist and just to get some counseling. I needed some counsel. And he asked me, well, have you ever been tested for ADHD? I'm like, no, what's that? And he's like, oh, I'm going to send you to somebody who's going to give you a test and you have to do some research. And during the research about my history, I was struggling in school, struggled reading. I mean, it was very difficult.
Yep.
And so I remembered a teacher, Mrs. Fedrin. And I don't know why I got to go see Mrs. Fedrin, but we got to go in this kind of a long hallway of a classroom with desks against the wall. And I liked to see her, and I got to see her, but I didn't know why. So I looked her up and found her. This is like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Found her. I had to use a yellow phone book. Imagine that.
Who knew?
I know, right? And so when I called her, I'm like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but my name was Pammy DeBow and you knew me. And you were my teacher in a special classroom. Can you tell me why? Do you remember me? She's like, oh, I remember you. I'm like, oh. She's like, what happened was when I came to her in the 4th grade, I could hardly read. And I'm like, how did that happen? She's like, but what made you memorable was when I started working with you one-on-one, it was like the lights came on and you just took off and started reading. And I was like, wow. Wow.
That is so funny because I was like that with multiplication in Mrs. Parrish's class. I just sat there and cried because everyone was understanding and the principal, Mr. Coates, had to take me in his office. I learned like that.
Yes.
One-on-one.
Yes, that
So,
one-on-one.
yeah.
It's so important.
How are you able to overcome the hurdles of all of that and to be able to incorporate and be such a successful photographer? And your photography is really a ministry, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
How are you able to mesh all those together? Sometimes I think it could work for you.
Oh.
You're a blast.
Oh. If it's not fun, why do it, right? Yeah, exactly. See? Yeah. This is my people.
Yep.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, okay? With ADHD, it's not a deficit of attention. It's that everything with the conversation you and I are having right now, what's also in the conversation are the 2 black mugs on the counter, are the 3 cameras, are the studio lights, whatever's on that table behind me. There's like all of that and the earrings, which we don't wear in headshots, just so you know.
Wrong.
It's distracting.
Don't do it.
Looks straight past a beautiful face and what's shiny right there. Uh-huh. Take off the jewelry, people. It can date you. So, all right, back to this. So all of these things that are in the conversation right here, we with ADHD have a hard time filtering those things out.
Yep.
And with photography, what I have found is there is so much when I'm doing your headshot. I'm looking at, the hair. I'm going to fix your hair.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
She takes care of me.
I'm fixing your hair. I'm noticing the details, the collar if it's off, then the settings on the camera, the settings on the lights, the laptop that we're tethered to, looking at what's coming up. Is the lighting correct? All these things that are coming at me, it's playing to my strength because I can hold all of those things and make them all come together, as well as being engaged with the client in front of my camera, evoking genuine expression. That comes through conversation and connection. So there's so much to it, but because the good Lord wired me this way, it totally works.
You know what I love about that as you're talking is that you're looking at all of this. Some people would say, oh, that's a weakness, that's weakness. And I'm like, I too have seen, you know what, I can use this as my strength, and I know how to harness it in. I know how to deal with this. And I love that. It's kind of like the kintsugi. I use this every time.
Yep.
The cracks. These are our little things that we have, but it makes us stronger and better and more beautiful. And I love that because you exemplify it every day, and then you're able to just do your amazing photography. Okay, so, I've got so much I want to. Okay, you kind of moved from regular photography to digital.
Oh, film photography.
Film. Tell me about that.
Well, I had bought a film camera, $100 at a pawn shop. And bought a camera, and then a friend of mine let me use a couple of lenses that I ended up acquiring through his wife. She's like, "You're going to keep those things. He's gone." and so I'd only shot film up until 18 and a half years ago when I met Bernie Stukenborg. Yeah, he was the wedding photographer at my nephew's wedding. And when I went to the wedding, I met Bernie, and he was my oldest brother's best friend. And
you're married.
We're married. In September, it'll be 19 years we've been married.
And that's how it kind of morphed you into moving from film to...
Yes, when Bernie and when we got married, he moved to New Hampshire where I had a little house there. And then we moved here to Oklahoma because Bernie has 5 children from his first marriage.
Wow.
And so we moved here to be closer to the kids. So that's how we ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
I say most women, you end up here because you followed a man to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm one of them. I'm so glad I did. I love Tulsa.
What can I say?
So...
okay, so this new thing that you're doing, tell me what you're doing now.
Okay.
The test that I took. Kind of explain what you're doing because this is something you're embarking in now. Right. That's a new little...
Yes, this is actually, I am going to be partnering this with my headshot photography.
I love it.
To kind of give another dimension to not just having your headshot taken. And as you know, people learn, when you come have a headshot with me, most people learn something.
Oh, I learned so many things that I do to this day that are, it's amazing. Seriously, if you need headshots, she is your gal. I did not, it was like pulling teeth. I did not want to do this. I had the time of my life. She even shot the cover of my book. It's Better Out Here. How many papers did we burst through? It was like the last one that worked.
You need the behind the scene photos on that one. That was a fun time,
Okay, so tell me what you're doing now.
Okay, so back in 2016, I heard a podcast by a woman named Sally Hogshead, and it was a test called How to Fascinate. Like when people, it's not like Myers-Briggs, it's not psychology, it's based on statistics, and she studied 1.5 million people. Professionals.
Wow.
And so when you are operating at your best, it's how others perceive you. And when I took this test, it was really interesting. You get assigned a primary word and a secondary word. My primary is passion. Shocking, I know.
Who knew?
Yeah. And then my secondary is power. And then you put those things together on a chart, and I am the people's champion. And you know, I love people.
Oh, so you know what I love about it? She had me do this test. It doesn't take you 5 hours to do it. There's some of these others. It was the shortest test, and I thought, there's no way this is going to be able to say anything. It was spot on of what I do. Now, how are you going to incorporate this into your photography?
So actually, I've already had a client of mine who's a repeat headshot client, and I was going through the training, and I'm like, I couldn't talk to you earlier today because I was going through training on this How to Fascinate. She's like, I want to take the test. She took the test. And she's like, I'm going for this job. this information is helping me how others perceive me. When I'm having a job interview, when I'm creating my LinkedIn profile, when I'm at work, how I'm interacting with people, when we know that this is our best communication style to operate in, when others perceive us that we are at our best, it really encourages us to lean into that. And while sometimes it's a little hard because I don't see myself as that way, but then it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, I'm not seeing how I see myself. These results this is how other people perceive me when I'm operating at my best, and we're really being our best, most authentic self. So when we have these tools and know, oh my gosh, yes, this makes total sense.
Yeah, I was totally skeptical. I was like, oh yeah, this is not going to nail me. It's just not. It did.
It did. Wait till we go the deep dive on it, man. We may want to record that because
that was so. Yes. I love that you're going to be incorporating this. And I mean, what's next for Pam? You're still doing headshots? You're incorporating this.
Oh yeah.
You've got what's coming up? Do you have any events coming up?
We do. Yep. Actually, April is Capture T-Town over at Bedford Camera and Video. I'm an advisor, not advisor. No, I'm an ambassador for Bedford Camera and Video.
Yay, Bedford! Big shout out for Bedford.
I love them. They are so
good people.
Community minded. There are so many things going on that they want to do for the community to be able to, really thrive in their photography. So the month of April is Capture T-Town. Each week, in the month of April, there's something going on. The first week, Sigma brand. The second week, Nikon. Second week, Sony. Third week, Nikon. Fourth week is Canon.
Is it like classes?
Yeah, it's free. Free classes. We're going to be having some Zoom classes where you can go to the store, be part of the Zoom call with the Nikon ambassador, with the Canon ambassador, and let's see, Sony, our rep, is going to be doing some classes, and we're doing photo walks too. So
I love those.
Have a class, then go on a photo walk, and just put those skills you just heard about and learned about, we're able to put them in place right away.
I love that. I love photos. I love pictures. I remember getting this huge camera, didn't know what I was doing. I would just put it on the little Running Man and take pictures. I would love to do something like that. I just think that
you could.
So for someone, as we start to kind of wind down, for someone that may be interested in photography or someone that is struggling with some ADHD or something that they're really just kind of kicking themselves, thinking that it's a negative thing, feeling maybe a little bit broken, what would you tell someone that really is fighting to find that purpose? Over, because there's a lot of broken people right now that feel stuck. When I'm out, they're just like, I don't even know how to find my purpose. I don't even know. What do you say? Because you are a walking encouragement sign. I mean, you beam encouragement. What would you say to those people?
Well, what I would say is, for one, whatever you're going through, it's not always going to be this hard. It's not always this hard.
Not always going to be this hard.
Yeah. But then the other thing is, if you're trying to find your passion, what is it? And you may have to go, it's like, not think of yourself in the season that you're in. Think of yourself at a time in your life when there was something that you were doing and that you love doing it. And at the end of the day, you may have been completely physically exhausted, but so emotionally charged. You couldn't wait to get up and do it again the next day. I heard somebody say that one time.
I love that.
So what is it that you're doing that you may be physically exhausted, but you're emotionally charged by it, so much so you can't wait until you can get up and do it again the next day?
That is so good.
Yes, and I will tell you, when I took that How to Fascinate test in 2016, back then I set my sights on, I want to become a How to Fascinate advisor. A certified advisor. Back then, I'm like, there's something to this. Just like I knew back, 11 years ago, there's something to headshot photography. And I hurt my elbow, so I couldn't do just ordinary photography. I had to park my camera on a tripod. That's what got me headlong into headshot photography. I'd seen Peter Hurley on a Google Plus for, him speaking. I'm like, who's this photographer that's not like listening to paint dry, watching him speak about photography? This is amazing. And he's talking about headshots. So February of 2013? Yeah. Bernie and I were on a train heading to New York City for Valentine's Day, and I emailed and just found out about you, would love to meet you. Met Peter Hurley, and it was another one of those Sally Hogshead moments.
Divine
met Peter Hurley,
intervention.
that this is something, these headshots, this is going to take me somewhere. Now, this year, 2024, my year of Fascinate, my word for the year, which I
love
decided on in
that.
January before I even signed up to become the advisor.
Oh, Pam.
And then it all, so that little itch that's been going on, what's your itch? What's that thing that's been really tugging at you? And lean into that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I've never heard it worded like that before. And how can people find you? We'll put your website. What's your website?
Sure. Everything is stukenborgphoto.com.
Stukenborgphoto.com.
Yep.
Okay. And
Do you want me to spell that?
I know, right?
Yeah, people put a C in there.
Spell it.
It's STUKENBORG. Stukenborgphoto.com.
And we'll put it up on the screen.
All the socials too.
Yeah, I would love for you to close us out in prayer. And seriously, if you even want someone to give an encouraging, uplifting, motivational speech, you need to talk to Pam. She is just a light that just brings so much joy anywhere you go.
Thank you.
Can you close us out in prayer and just lift up those people that may be not knowing what their passion and their purpose is?
Sure, absolutely. I was gonna hold your hand.
I would love to, my friend.
Well, dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for just crossing mine and Lisa's paths, Lord. And it's been such a sweet friendship and such an encouragement. And right now, we lift up all the people that may be watching now or later on, Lord, on the rebroadcast, that whatever it is that is birthed inside of them, you put it there and help them to discover that. And if they don't know, put people in their lives that will help them discover it. And just bless this ministry, bless Lisa, Lord. Thank you for Skipper. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen. I love this lady. You all need to find her, contact her, and she is a joy to my heart. Thanks for being here. Will you come back and talk more about?
Oh yeah.
We didn't even scratch the surface. There's so much to Pam that's just amazing. So thank you for joining us again this month. And make sure you go to our YouTube page and ding the bell and subscribe. And you can go to lisabain.com, get caught up on some of the previous episodes. We're so grateful for you.
And leave a comment.
Oh my goodness.
Lisa loved the comments of encouragement. They're so good. Leave a comment on her.
You're so good at
videos.
commenting.
It's true. I mean, well, yeah, that's true. But it's intentional. We need to be intentional about this. So
we'll end on that ADHD moment. You guys have a great month, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us at Treasure Talks. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with the latest videos. You will not want to miss out. If you'd like more information on the growing projects of Lisa Bain Ministries and how we're helping the community, please visit us at lisabain.com.